Hi, welcome to Strathclyde Sports Union's Women in Sport Week. Today we've got a nice panel of our volunteers at the Sports Union, and we're just going to go through our involvement in sport and some of our background. I'm Eilidh and I'm the sports president. First on my screen, I've got Tilda.
Yep, I'm Tilda. I'm a fourth year student studying sport and physical activity, and I am the wellbeing officer in Sport Exec. I'm from Finland, and I play basketball and do rowing in uni. I think those are the main sports I've been involved throughout uni.
Yeah. Have you always done basketball?
Yeah, I have. I started when I was 10, and then by the time I was 5, I did ballet, and I did that for 10 years. So it was a long time, basketball and ballet, very different ones.
Yeah.
But I think it was a good mixture. I enjoyed both of them, but then just kind of school, and then I was like, oh, basketball is gonna be the one. But then ballet had to go. But then uni, it was great because you were able to start something totally like rowing. So I love to learn something new. Even I felt oh, maybe I'm too old, but I don't think you're never too old.
I would hardly say you're old, Tilda.
Yeah, true.
We've also got Lucy here.
Third year, and I do product design engineering, and I am the COVID officer.
That's really cool. Did you do curling before you came to uni?
Yeah, I did. I started when I was 13, but I did hockey when I was in school. So I kind of I stopped playing hockey and then went on to curling because I didn't want to play hockey anymore. I was forced into it by the school, so not ideal.
And we've also got Susan.
Hi, I'm a fourth year student studying chemical engineering. I am the vice president for the Golf Society at Strathclyde. I probably started playing golf when I was about 14. I did gymnastics competitively until about that point, and then it all got a bit much with injuries and stuff. So I moved over to golf. Don't really get as injured as much, which is good. And yeah, just kind of a completely different game. Really started to enjoy it. So yeah, that's what I play now.
Yeah, that's really cool. Who kind of got you into golf?
So my dad plays, and then I've got two brothers that both play. But at the club we had quite an active junior section, so I knew a lot of the boys there because I've got a twin brother, so his friends that played golf were also my age, so it kind of worked in. And then as I played more, you kind of get to know a lot more probably girls. But yeah, my family kind of got me into the sport specifically. Yeah.
That's really good. Kirsty?
Hi, I'm Kirsty, and I'm a fourth year student, and I study law at Strathclyde. I'm currently vice president of the sports union, which is fun, and I'm from netball, which is good.
Did you take up netball for the first time at uni?
Yeah, so I kind of my school was one of those schools, when they have every single sport, and they basically just group together all the people who are sporty and are you're gonna play all the sports. So I kind of did we had a netball team, but we didn't really train, and then I came to uni and realized we really didn't know the rules. So I came to uni netball and I was I went to the come and try session. I was oh, this is fine. I'll maybe give it a bash to go in a squad or something. And it was so intense. And I was oh, maybe made a mistake here. But I got into a squad, and then it's been good ever since. I've learned a lot, which is good.
Nice. We've also got Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering student, and I am the president of Dark Horses, which is the ultimate team at Strathclyde.
Was that new to you when you came to uni?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive club, isn't it?
Yeah, which is surprising because with ultimate especially, people don't come to university really wanting to play ultimate, and we're not a sport that people know until you kind of see us out and about. But yeah, every year we bring in people and we have a great time doing it. So
Ellie, I might just come back to you and say, what was your sort of entrance to sport? Who kind of got you involved?
In ultimate?
Just in sport in general.
Oh. Well, at school, we have to play hockey. So that was kind of my gateway into it. So I played hockey from about 8 until, I still play hockey, but then I came to uni and I decided to do something different, which was kind of my step into ultimate.
Nice. So was that kind of just the PE department that was really your kind of step in?
Yeah, I think I'd been to sort of a couple of hockey camps before I went to start playing at school because it was something that I was going to have to do anyway. Yeah. but I was the first person in my family to kind of play hockey or anything. So it was a bit different, but yeah, it was the school mostly.
Yeah. What about yourself, Kirsty? You said your school was really sporty. Was there anyone in particular that kind of like got you involved?
Not really. I feel like I've always just really enjoyed sport, and like in primary school, especially, like my mom and my dad both work full time, so I was very much one of those kids that went to every single sport club purely because it meant you didn't have to go to like after school club. Like I played them all purely to like just because you could. So then went into secondary school quite keen in sport, and I think like the PE department, I don't know if it's the same at every school, but they very much like if you were interested, they kind of loved you, and you kind of were like, you should do this, and you'd be like, yeah, that sounds like fun. So that's kind of the gist. So yeah, I started playing hockey, and then I moved into volleyball as I got older in secondary school, and then netball at uni. So yeah,
fun. Might kind of spin it around a little bit differently, but did any of you have any sort of athletes or female leaders that you found particularly inspirational?
Yeah, I've been always quite like, in the sense like, I don't think I have like had that many idols, but obviously looked up to, I mean, maybe like Serena and Vince Williams have always been quite like, wow. But in general, like for example, basketball, like I don't think I watched that much like women's, which is quite like sad now that I think of, like, but when I was younger, it was only just men's basketball that I always watched with my family. Like my dad and my brother are very into. So, but then it was quite cool, like in my own like club, then to get to know the older, so like go to watch their games. Like I have pictures. We were maybe like 10 or 12. I went to the older like teams and we painted our face, and like I think those were my idols more like very popular famous players. Just don't think I saw that in TV much, so in like the live games. But yeah, so there's a few players I still like. I've seen them on the street now, they have no clue who I am, but I'm like, oh, I went to see their game like when I was like 10. So kind of like that, it's quite even like a closer connection maybe.
I would say personally similar. Like I think some of my like influential athletes were always like male, but more on a kind of local base, as like seeing PE teachers or I don't know, just like fellow sportswomen, and just actually being like really empowered by seeing like what they can do. And even just like friends that I've made, I would say, through like hockey and rugby, that like seeing them do well really just inspired me. I don't know.
I have a few friends like play professionally now, like who I play with, and then like, one is in kind of college, and I just think it's so cool to like see them thriving and being like boss ladies.
I don't know about you, Lucy, if you had any sort of different experiences.
Well, like when I started curling, obviously it's quite a niche sport, I'd say. So there's not many kind of curlers, but it's like a weird one. Like you like obviously the Olympic teams and things. It's like you can like go to an ice rink and they'll just be there training. So when I was younger, I thought I was like so weird. I was like, oh my god, like they've been to the Olympics and I'm literally like, standing like 2 feet away from them. So it's kind of like I looked up to like Eve Muirhead and her team mainly, I'd say. And there was a time I went to like St. Columbus and they always got like an inspirational speaker for prize giving every year. And Eve Muirhead and Anna Sloan, they came to do the prize giving at school, and I was like, oh my god, this is like so cool. I do curling and I know them. Like it was really weird, and I got to meet them before the prize giving. And I think at that point I was kind of like, yeah, this is like so cool. And it's I suppose it's like quite an even playing field in curling normally. So like if you are like women's teams, you can compete against men's teams. So I feel like quite a lot of the time, like it's most people in curling are quite good to sort of look up to, not just women. It's quite a cool sport because you get to be like playing against people who've been to the Olympics and training on the same ice rink as people that have been. It's quite an interesting one. It's a bit different, I suppose, because you can't feel weird looking up to them and I like speak to them.
It must be interesting because Scotland's so good at curling that you've got the top of the best there with you. Yeah, Susan, have you got any kind of influences?
So kind of similar to probably when I started playing, most of the stuff you would watch on TV was kind of male, like golfers, especially if my brothers had it on. That's generally what they would normally put on. But I definitely think there's been an increase in like people watching female golfers, like even the other uni golf players, like they'll speak about the women's game and not just the men's, which is quite good because it obviously was never like that before. So definitely like with Scotland hosting events like the Solheim Cup, it definitely like brought more like publicity to like the women's game, which was good. I was actually working at like the Solheim Cup venue, which was at Glen Eagles last year, and I just quite like nipped out on my break to see like Suzanne Pearson hold like the winning putt. So it was like just such a good atmosphere to be there. So especially just like in these type of situations, I kind of look up to them, like how do they deal with all that pressure? Like I'm worried even just playing in my own club near mind with like loads of people watching. So just like the type of situations, like kind of inspirational, not just like an individual person.
Yeah, that must have been unreal.
Yeah, it was. It was good.
Yeah. You mentioned uni sport there. I might just bounce to Kirsty. Like, how much of a difference has it made playing sport at uni to like your uni career?
It's been, I couldn't have not played sport at university 100%. I just think like I've met most of my like best friends through sport and stuff, and like even my flatmate, like we met through netball, and obviously we get on such a basis that isn't related to sport, but just like having that like nice supportive community. And obviously I played netball, so it's like all females, which is really interesting because it's just all girls. Like it's such a gals like sport, so everything is just like gal time on, like I don't know, it's so fun. Like I literally love it.
I mean, it's the Wednesday nights that made the big difference for me. Do you know, like my uni wouldn't be the same if I wasn't out on the skite on a Wednesday night, probably missing my lectures on a Thursday morning, but just like part of something so like big. I just found like all the sports mixed together, and I felt like that was such a big thing for me. But yeah, and like in terms of sport, just taking that bit of a dip with COVID and like lockdown. Emily, did you find like you were staying really like active, or were you still involved with your club during like lockdown?
Yeah, staying active was definitely something that I did. In fact, I was probably more active because I actually had the time to sort of look after myself. So we sort of set up a Strava group for dark horses, and then we had this sort of like little competition of, you know, who was running the most distance throughout the week. So that was really nice of, you know, we couldn't be with each other, but we could still compete with each other kind of thing. And like the whole club just builds each other up in that sense of we're always there, and even at the moment where we can't really train, we're still finding ways to kind of look out for each other and be there and still have that competition, but look after each other, which is awesome.
Yeah. Did you feel like that really helped like your well-being during like tough times inevitably?
Majorly, because I mean I got really into my running and I started running like stupid distances, but it was a huge distraction from it, and also it was a competition of like, you know, I can do this and it's good. And it probably sounds a bit bad, but like most of our club is boys, so most of the people doing this sort of competition were guys, and I was like, look, I can do it too, you know, I'm a girl, but I can still run just as far as you. So it was nice in that sense of it gave me a distraction from COVID, and also I could prove that women can do it too.
Yeah. Susie, you're probably in a bit of a different position because I mean you could probably go out on the course quite a lot of the time.
Yeah, well, we were like, I think it maybe started back up maybe the start of July. So obviously quite a long break off, and then but being able to return, obviously a lot of other sports still can. But definitely like even you could see like the group chats were getting a lot like more busy because people are like out playing scores. Like competition started back at your home club, so you got that like competitive sense back again. So yeah, it was really good to just go back out. I played in like the Scottish sports one, it was a competition at Eilidh just before, which was good. Like it was weird for everything to kind of not be normal, but like it seemed more normal. Because obviously you're back out like competing in these type of competitions. So it's definitely like really good to get back. Like everyone you could just tell was a lot more excited. So yeah, definitely lucky to play the sport that doesn't really have contact. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it must have been very different playing like a 2-ball instead of a 4-ball competition, and getting your temperature checked on the way in.
Yeah,
but like
it was weird because like there was rules in place. So obviously there's like the 4 of us that play in my house, but you couldn't play as a 4-ball even though we were in the same house. So it was definitely like everything was new and just trying to like work it all out. But like my club, and I'm sure every other club across like Scotland, did really well to like make sure all guidelines were followed just so it could go ahead. So yeah, no, it was really good.
Yeah. Did you feel like you could still keep in touch with like your Strath club?
Yeah. So we have quite a few different group chats, just, and also a Facebook page, so people were kind of like commenting on that. Also, when we went back to uni, we organised a couple like opens, just so like freshers and stuff can still actually know kind of what we're doing. So luckily we got to squeeze one in just before everything else kind of shut down again. But it definitely kind of gave, especially freshers and other people, like a glimpse of what it's normally like. So yeah, it was good. It was good to get back.
If you were going to do it all again, Kirsty, you know, would you have changed how you got involved with sport, or would you have taken on anything else? Quite a tricky one.
No, I definitely love netball. I played volleyball for the first 2 years I was at uni as well, and I really enjoyed that, but kind of had to take a step back. Just I played 2 Bucks sports, so I could do it because Bucks netball's on a Saturday, and then Bucks volleyball was actually on a Sunday. So it was just my whole weekend for the first 2 years was just like gone with fixtures. So I've quite a lot of pressure on myself, but I loved it. I would definitely do it again. I wish as a fresher, I just tried every sport. Like I wish I'd just gone to every single come and try, because I just feel like there's so many good sports, and I wish I'd just like given them a bash. And even on exec, we're speaking, like Ronan was like, oh, we could get you in a boat. I was like, yes, let's get us in a boat. Like, I just think there's too many. It's too hard. Like I want to do them all almost. I just think it's so fun, and like everyone in the sporting community always feels so nice, and like I just wish I don't know, been able to meet everyone almost, which is kind of impossible, but yeah.
I totally feel the exact same. Like, you know, every year I'd maybe click interested on one more kind of come and try session on Facebook and think, I should have just gone, I should have tried korfball, I should have done this. Like there's just literally like, it kind of, you put yourself on little boundaries. Like in first year, I think I only joined one sport, but like there was no reason I couldn't have done more. But yeah, I see Tilda nodding lots.
Yeah, well, I kind of like was one of them. Like I went to so many come and tries. Like I was actually thinking, how many did I go to? But I'm glad about that. But then I'm like, oh, I wish I could have like continued. But I had the same as you, Kirsty. So I did too. I did like basketball and rowing, and it worked out quite well because basketball was on Wednesdays, like Bucks Wednesdays, and then rowing competitions usually are on like weekends, and the training was mostly on the weekends. I missed like the Wednesday training, but I was always able to make the weekend. So that worked out really well, but also like took a lot of my time. But then I'm so glad, like first year we went to compete, was it February time or March, we went to London and stuff, and it was amazing. And I'm so glad I did it, because maybe on my second or third year I wouldn't have had the time anymore. And yeah, it's such a good memories. But yeah, now even this year I'm like, oh, like they actually, I feel like I kind of like missed maybe like what tries were actually going on and not. And then after the week I was like, oh, like I should have went to this and that, and like they were still kind of like happening. But I hope maybe I'll go still this year, like maybe some. But yeah, like I've been to volleyball, tennis, I went to some dance sessions sometimes, and they're like genuinely, and it's the feeling the first time you're like, I don't know anyone, it's horrible, but every time afterwards I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I went. Like it just initial like, I don't, like you're so afraid, but then someone's gonna smile at you and be like, hey, and you're just like, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that like initial like fear before you go is so natural. But
yeah,
that was a lot of reflecting to like big competitions down in like London. But you know, does anyone else have any like big memories that you just will never leave behind you?
I don't really know like a specific one. I just quite enjoy competing. Like that's,
Yeah.
I'm a very overly competitive person, I suppose. So I do it like all, like every competition I've went to, I've like enjoyed it. But I think my first year of uni, we went down to Strath for the university championships, and my team, like, we won. But I was playing like with some of my like close friends, and it was just like, it was a really nice weekend. But yeah, I think that's probably like my uni curling highlight was possibly that year. But that was just like obviously winning a competition. You're gonna remember that. Yeah, no, I think like being part of Strathclyde curling, I think we've won maybe like 5 or 6 years in a row. So it was like just really kind of what team from Strathclyde would win this year sort of thing. So it was quite like a competitive weekend, but like quite fun still.
Yeah, I mean, Strath curling have their fair number of ranks with even university games, like
Yeah.
lots of goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emily, your best highlight?
I don't know, because quite a lot of our highlights are just like I haven't played for the team, but I've just been like super proud. So in our my first year, so second year uni, I think our teams kind of won like everything they entered, and it was just that feeling of pride of like, you know, ultimate's one of these sports that people don't really know, but here we are like for Strathclyde smashing it, and it was awesome. It was just really nice to feel that, you know, we can compete as a club, and you know, we're here, and it was kind of what I was hoping that we'd be able to replicate this year, but sadly that's not going to happen. But that's probably my best sort of memory of it.
I'm sure that Club of the Year nomination and Team of the Year win really peak at sports ball.
Yeah, that was also good. Will not lie.
Kirsty?
My best sporting memory is probably before I came to uni. I went to the Sainsbury's School Games in 2016, so it's like it was so cool. It was like sponsored by Sainsbury's, and there was like a bunch of sports. So volleyball was one, there was swimming, there was, I can't even remember what other ones. So it was like, and you were each split off into your region. So I was like north of Scotland, I can't remember, or something. So we had 2 Scotland teams. There was Scotland West, Scotland East. That's so embarrassing, I don't even remember my own team name. Anyway, yeah, so we went down, and like you got all your like, we flew from Edinburgh to Manchester, you had like full kit, you had to wear like your lanyards, you all stayed in like Manchester uni halls, and it was like it was like a mini, like what I imagine, like really on a small scale though, like the Olympics was like, because it was like there were so many people from so many different sports, and you all ate like lunch together, and then you had like training sessions, and then over the weekend we got to compete against everyone from the rest of the UK. So we played like the west of Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, and it was just unreal. But it was like a proper venue with like proper like people watching you. You had your full like Scotland kit. It was ace, and like we got like, it was cool. It was really good, and they did like talks on like drugs and stuff. Like obviously, so like because we were athletes, we had to keep clean. A couple girls got like drug tested. Like it just felt so like professional, but it was an unreal weekend. It was one of those things like I don't think I've ever played in such like a big scale before, and I don't think I ever will again, but it was amazing. And
Susan, do you have any other like peak memories?
I don't think it'll top that one, but especially when we were at uni at the end, like in March, there's like the Scottish Student Games, like just for the golf. So basically all unis in Scotland will go up, and it's like Moray, so like pretty much the top of Scotland. So everyone kind of travels up together. So I did it first and second year, but like we stay in like a big house, just like an Airbnb. So like everyone's all together, but obviously everyone's like kind of teeing off different. Like I'm kind of always different because all the boys tee off kind of at the same time, and then but it's quite good. Like everyone's kind of together. Like obviously everyone that's competing is all up there as well. So like if you go into the clubhouse after, like everyone's there. So it's just like such a good week. Like you come back down, you're like, man, I need to wait like another year. And also because it's at the end of the year, if people are leaving uni, then obviously like that's kind of like the last time you'll kind of spend a lot of time with them. So it's definitely like one of the best like experiences I'd say at uni. So yeah, it's probably my favourite memory so far.
Yeah, that's such a good description of like the post-tour blues, you know, that day after where you just miss being with the squad.
Yeah. It's like the journey up there, because obviously it's like maybe like a 5-hour journey up. It's like everyone's like so excited, and then it's like on the way down everyone's like, man, okay, we know it's all done now. But it's like an individual event, and then it's also a team event, so it's also good that you're competing for yourself and then you're like competing as one, so it gets like really competitive, especially between certain unis. So yeah, it's like a really good atmosphere.
Tilda, have you got a highlight?
I thought I kind of like said well, obviously that London was a great for rowing, and then I think basketball is just in general, like the game trips are always fun. Kind of like the traveling together is always on the way, hyping with the music, and then depending on the result and the time of the day when you're coming back, like either it's like who stays up with the driver and who can sleep, or then everyone's like hyping up. So but yeah, no, I don't think if I have any singular. But yeah, just in general, like the trips, I think, they bring like the team together.
Yeah, I think for me, it's maybe like as you're saying, Emily, like it's not even necessarily the playing, it's just being there and seeing like your teammates do really well. Like for me, I was watching one of the games at Taxis Cup, and out at steps, seeing one of the boys' players like ping a goal top corner, and just everyone went absolutely nuts. You know, my face was painted maroon, you know, people were having cans at the side of the pitch, like it was all just a bit rowdy, but like just peak student sport. Yeah. And then, well, I think last year sports ball, honestly. just like getting to meet people who I didn't know, and like doing things like this today, like I wouldn't normally get to meet yourselves, Lucy or Susan, but yeah, just getting to meet people from different sports. But I think like sports ball gives that opportunity. You know, you'll be sitting at a mixed table with road cycling, snowboarding, you know, just like interesting people of all different backgrounds. But yeah,
that's one thing actually. When you asked about the atmosphere, I was gonna say like I think it's great, but one thing that I miss is like the games are always on Wednesdays. Like I'd love to go see other teams and other sports like games, but then when they're mostly happening on Wednesdays, I'm like, oh, like I can't go. Like, so that's kind of, it would be fun to go like support your friend in a game or something. So that's kind of like sometimes like, oh,
I
obviously
definitely
there's Saturday games for some sports. But.
I definitely would tune in, you know, if we were like live streaming different sports, just like, you know, just to see. You know, like that kind of like bleeding maroon across all the different sports is such a like positive vibe. But yeah, I might just close off, but if you could maybe like, this might be putting you on the spot a little bit, but maybe a couple words to just describe your uni sport experience.
My uni experience of sport would be confidence boosting.
Yeah.
Quite inspirational and just generally really good fun.
Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah, well, I couldn't imagine like my uni experience without joining a sport, to be honest. Like it just most of my friends are through sports. It just like brings you something, like it makes you feel like you belong to something bigger, gives you like it's great when you all work for like the same goal, and even you would do different sports. It's just kind of like you have the same mindset, and I think also like it teach you have some very tough moments. Like some of the lowest moments at uni might have happened also, like you lost a tough game or something like that, but then it just teaches you so much, and you grew, like you grow with the experience, and then obviously the great memories. It's hard to put into like even like short sentence or like
no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I think that's something we've not really touched on, is like the actual like personal development. Like I definitely think, you know, taking on all the leadership positions that you've all done has done absolute wonders for you. Kirsty, some words?
Yeah, I just think like I never, if you told me in first year like, oh, in 4 years time you're going to be vice president of the sports union, I would have been like, no, you're like joking. Like I think in uni in itself is a difficult experience, you know, moving away from, well, I moved away from home, and it's like nobody knows you anymore, so you almost have this opportunity to just be like your best self. I just think I came to uni and I was like, right, like none of the things that you've ever done now matter. Like you've just got to be true to yourself to a whole new extent. So I just think I like really was like, you're just going to put yourself out there in every opportunity. And like what is amazing about sport is it's like I gave so much to it, but it's given me so much back. And like my leadership opportunity was like the sports union, and then I was secretary of netball last year. Like I've just loved it, and I just think I just had to put myself out there, but then what I've gained in return is like incredible experiences and friends and just opportunities in general. So I really love that about sport in general, like how much it kind of gives you back as well.
Yeah. Lucy?
I think for me, the main thing for uni sports is like the tight-knit kind of family that I've got now in the curling club. I knew everyone before I started, and that was like the main reason I chose Strathclyde, was for like the people that were there at the curling. But I think like the kind of tight knit group of like friends, and it's kind of like we like proper family now. I don't think I could do uni without it, because it's like we all kind of help each other, and if you're going through something, then there's always someone there to kind of have a chat with. I think that's like kind of the main thing for me, is like the friends that I've made, definitely.
Yeah. Susan?
Yeah, it's quite hard to put into words. Obviously, when you're all speaking, I was trying to think, fine, I'll get a good answer here. But I definitely say when I kind of started Strathclyde, I wasn't actually really aware of the amount of sport there was, especially golf-wise. I didn't really know there was like a golf team or anything along the lines of that. And then as soon as I kind of got involved in it, you realise like how many opportunities there were. So like not only like so many experiences, like I've definitely got a lot more confident, especially being around all boys. Like first year I never really spoke, I was just kind of there. And then obviously now in fourth year, like kind of vice president, kind of making decisions, can like communicate a lot better. So definitely like self-development is like been enhanced because of the sport. And then just like the amount of opportunities there is, like to even develop like just golf in general, like like the skills. If I didn't do it at uni, probably wouldn't play it as much, probably wouldn't become as good. So definitely like helped like become a better athlete effectively. So yeah.
That's great. You guys have all been smashing and super inspirational. It's been really nice to meet you all officially. And yeah, I'm going to close off, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.